Welcome to the Daily Tokyo Hockey Show on the FIH YouTube channel with me, Sarah Juggins. It's day 3 of competition at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, and I'm joined once again by USA midfield star Lauren Moyer. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
Really good and great to see you again. We've also got a return from the former Kenyan international and now head coach to the Kenya national women's team, Jackie Mwangi. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you guys?
Yeah, great to see you. Before we look at the matches in depth, I'll just quickly remind viewers of the scores from today's games. First of all, we had all the women's teams in action. So in the early games, which, once again, I was up at 1:50 to watch, the Netherlands, we saw them defeat Ireland 4-0. Although, as we saw, it took until the fourth quarter for the Dutch to put the game beyond doubt. We then saw Australia demolish China by a 6-0 scoreline with a display of fast counter-attacking hockey, which we're definitely going to be discussing a little later. In the afternoon sessions, Great Britain survived an early scare to beat South Africa 4-1. Argentina finally found their scoring habits with a 3-0 victory over Spain. New Zealand saw a feisty challenge from the host nation Japan to win 2-1. And Germany put in a solid 2-0 performance over India. Meanwhile, the two men's games of the day saw Belgium turn on the style against European rivals Germany, including an absolute belter of a goal from Cedric Charlier to record a 3-1 win, and then Great Britain defeated Canada in a 3-1 encounter. So just to focus on Belgian men to start with, at the Euro Hockey Championships, many people will be aware they took the bronze medal, when possibly on form they've been expected to be in the gold medal match. There was some talk that the World Cup holders might have run out of steam ahead of these games. However, with wins over the Netherlands and Germany in their first two matches, it looks as if Belgium are winding up again for another big tournament performance. So, Jackie, if I come to you first, as a coach, how easy is it to accept these sort of short-term lapses in performance within an Olympic cycle, but then to remain confident that the team will come good at exactly the right time? Because for Shane McLeod, he must have wondered just for a little while what was happening to his team.
I think as a coach, of course, there's a lot of concern and a lot of research goes into why the team is not performing as far. But having them performing like this in the Olympics, it's fantastic. You know, we have the team back in shape, back in the focus, back scoring goals against major countries such as Germany, Netherlands. Of course, there's some excitement there. Glad the team is back, but of course we have to concentrate on why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Lauren, same question to you, really. As a player, you obviously want to win every single game, but you actually also have to accept that sometimes there's going to be these lapses, sometimes unaccountably in performance. So, you know, what are you looking for in a coach in order to make you accept that there will be failures as well as successes?
I think when you can just focus on your priorities as a team, your style of play, there's bound to be ebbs and flows, wins and losses. But I think Belgium knows what kind of team they are. They know that they can absolutely dominate. I'm not sure if they lost anybody after that World Cup win. I'm sure they were disappointed, but they knew that they probably didn't have to change much. And again, with that Olympic excitement, they were probably ready to go playing Holland and Germany. Like you said, they're probably very familiar with them. So from a player's perspective, from what I would want from a coach is not really much to change. You don't have to press the panic button just because you lose one or two. So I think they've played it exceptionally well.
Yeah, small tweaks to get the big gains.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
Great Britain, they put 3 past Canada, Canada men to seal their second win. There was a super goal from Liam Ansell, which opened the scoring for GB. Sam Ward made it 2-0. Canada brought it back to 2-1 through Floris van Son. And just for a moment, you were wondering if Canada could take something from the game. Ansell, though, added another in the 57th minute to settle the outcome. But Lauren, we've now seen Canada do this twice. They've got very, very resolute defence. On both occasions, first of all by Germany and then by GB, they just eventually got worn down. And this now gives them a huge task to make the quarterfinals. They've either got to get a result from tomorrow's match against the Netherlands or Thursday's match against Belgium, 2 really big asks. And then they have to target a win over South Africa. And as we all know, South Africa are no pushover. We saw that yesterday. So again, what messages in the heat of the tournament are you as a player looking for from your coach in order to get you ready for those incredibly tough challenges?
Yeah, I think you just want to make sure that you do all the prep work possible beforehand, all that video, all of the corners and the tactical presses and outlets. When you step on the field, you just want to play. And unfortunately, you can't defend for a full game. It's just not possible. So I'd love to see, from a coach, how are we going to break them on an outlet, on a counter attack? How can we create our circle opportunities rather than focusing on, just stopping Holland or, it's what can we create? So that's what I would want to hear if I were the Canadian men.
Sure. Now, I know we're talking about today's matches, but actually we can flip back to yesterday's matches in this very, very topic. Jackie, would you talk to me about South African men? Because Canada men are going to take quite a lot from what they saw when South Africa went 3-0 up against the Netherlands.
Oh my God, that match was so exciting. It started so well. The boys were ready to go. South African men said, well, 1, 2, 3. And we were smelling some wind in the air. But Netherlands, they're a big team. They have a lot of talent in there, and they were able to come together and fight back and win the game. So, but I'm sure it was a tough challenge for the Holland team just to get back after a 3-0 down. Amazing stuff yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, in many respects, South Africa might have helped Canada because the Netherlands will be still recovering from a very, very tough fight back. Just again, before we move on, that sort of performance by the South African team, although they lost, that must be something that for the young men and the young boys across the African continent, that's got to be a performance to look up to and to aspire to, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely. Even the men from South Africa are not really, they're young players, and this gives a lot of inspiration to the players coming up. We have a lot of development happening in the continent, so this is exciting for Africa, and we hope that they do well in the next match as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's turn our attention to today's women's matches. And first of all, I think we're going to have to talk about Ireland. Yes, they lost 4-0 to the Netherlands, but there was a resolute defence going on there for a long, long period in that match. Looking at the squad, 8 of the squad have remained from the team that lost in the Olympic qualifiers to go to Rio in 2016. Since then, they've really turned themselves around. I mean, they famously won silver at the 2018 World Cup. And they're now competing at their first ever Olympic Games. Amongst their players, they've got captain Katie Mullen, who today celebrated 200 caps for her country. And in many ways, Lauren, USA are now following a similar trajectory. You might not be in Tokyo, but you're a team that's definitely looking towards Paris. And we just see that so often, don't we, as a pattern that a team almost has to hit a low point before they can bounce back refreshed to take on the world again.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate blow. Of course, I love speaking to you guys, but of course I would much rather be competing. But yeah, as far as Ireland's concerned, I mean, Aisha McFerrin was an absolute star. I think collectively as a whole, they defended exceptionally well. They made it really tight in the circle for those Dutch attackers to get the right shots off. They were a little shaky at times, but that was from Ireland's ruthless defense. And again, they are exceptional finishers, so they end up finding the back of the net. And like I said earlier, you can't defend for a full 60 minutes. It's just not possible. So yeah, they put out an incredible performance, and I'm excited to see where they can go the rest of the tournament. Good start.
I was going to say, you mentioned Aisha McFerrin. She faced 18 shots and saved 14 of them, which is a success rate of 78%. That's quite incredible, really, isn't it?
She was a star. Yeah, she saved everything, almost everything that came at her, and organized also well. You could see it if the camera was zoomed in on her. She was organizing. She was busy, and able to focus on her job at the same time. So yeah, really good performance.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about all the goalkeepers today later, because there's been some really quite outstanding performances. But Jackie, just coming to you now with your coach's head on, the Dutch, they used a number of different penalty corners today. Would you as a coach have been tempted to keep those variations under your cloak for a little bit longer, maybe until the quarterfinals? Or do you think that Alison Annan's point of view is let's try them, let's try them within the competition and see what works and see what doesn't in those competitive situations? What's your view on that?
I say let's try them. I mean, the team is already scoring on field goals. There's only an opportunity it's only this time that they can use them. Why not? Why not just try and see what happens? If it doesn't work, then we know that that's not our go-to short corner. But the Netherlands squad is amazing. They're able to change if needed. If it doesn't go right, they can change just like that. So I'm pretty sure they have a lot more for us going forward.
Yeah, it's quite exciting, isn't it? Lauren, what's it like to face the Dutch? I mean, I've played a bit of hockey. I can't imagine stepping onto a field where you've got those Dutch players in front of you. Is it a case of great, we can now test ourselves against the best in the world, or is there a slight sense of dread?
No, I mean, I think if you go into it with a sense of dread, you've automatically lost. I think you always have to approach it with, an incredible amount of respect. You know exactly what you're going to get when you play them. But it does make you better. Those are some hard losses, when they almost are in the double digits or, getting close. But I mean, they're just incredible athletes, incredible hockey players, so smart. But yeah, you have to get up for that game. It has to be your best. And yeah, they're tough games, but you learn so much as a group, as individuals. You're going to be tested by the best. So they're hard pills to swallow, but they're necessary.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, you're so right. It's that learning process, isn't it? Because Ireland today will have gone away and learnt so much about soaking up pressure, and actually what they're capable of as well. Because they probably didn't expect to be under the cosh as much and come away with just 4-0. I know that sounds ridiculous, but just 4-0 is actually quite respectable, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got to feel good about it. I think it gives them obviously four. It didn't look like necessarily a 4-0 game. So I think that they have to feel good about it, and they're a momentum team. So if they're feeling good and they're feeling connected, it's only going to help them moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We also saw Australia lay down an incredibly second impressive performance, 6-0 against China this time. That's no mean feat because China's defence is normally excellent, and as they proved against Japan, they're a strong side. I think the Australian style of play, in many ways, mirrors something that the USA aspire to play as well. It's very attacking, it's very fast, and it's a style of play that calls for an incredibly committed approach to running hard, both in attack and in defence. How hard is it? And I'll ask Lauren first and come to you as well, Jackie as well. How hard is it to sustain that sort of attacking play?
Yeah, you have to be incredibly fit. It's definitely a certain style, but you prepare for it. So in training, in games, especially, if that's your principle, then that's just what you do and that's what you get used to. So yeah, I've been so impressed with Australia. I think their young players are performing so well, and their experienced players are really anchoring that group. So not only do they look connected, but they look like they're having just a blast out there. So I think that that's really cool to see, and yeah, I think that they could do exceptionally well in this tournament.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Jackie, it's for me that looks like a fun way to play hockey. Is that the sort of style of play you'd like to see your players playing as well? Sort of attacking, fast counter-attacking moves, and almost happy to win 5-3 rather than 1-0.
Ah, man, such balance. I wish there was some balance in there. That's really tricky, Sarah. Knowing my players, they like to run, and especially my young ones, they like to run a lot. And finding that cohesion is important, but there has to be balance in there. But I see both the Australian teams, they're well prepared, in great shape, and so if they can continue this way, all the best to them. Maybe we'll see them in the last four. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Australia today, I've got to say. We also, within that game and within several of the games, we've seen the female players throwing the hugest aerials, which is something, that's a real development of the game in the last 10 to 15 years. There'll be a lot of people watching this who play club hockey and whose aspiration to throw an aerial is probably far greater than their ability to throw an aerial. And I put my hand up, I'm one of those people. How difficult is that skill? And is it all about technique, or is it all about strength? I'm guessing it's a mixture of both. And if I come to you first, Jackie, how do you throw an aerial the length that some of those players are getting?
I think it just takes a lot of strength. Technique must be right, but strength is important. And for you to throw more than 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, I mean, it takes a lot. But what is really amazing about these throws is that they're very accurate now. They're not towards the center, they're more towards the sides, and they're very effective so far. I think one of the GB goals today, I think it was the last goal or the third or fourth goal. I mean, it was a short aerial, but over the defense, and then they were able to have a 1v1 with the keeper. So it's a great skill to learn, and hopefully we'll see many ways that it's expressed during the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Lauren, how good are your aerials?
You know what? They're not super great, but yeah, like anything, I don't necessarily practice them a lot either. So I think it's like any skill. Once you start practicing it and you get that technique down, I think that's when you get really comfortable. And a lot of these aerials, like we've been seeing in the games, are leading to goals. They're super accurate. I think in past years, whenever you threw an aerial, it was just to get out of some pressure, alleviate some of that, get some time to go get set up. But now we're seeing them used as a transition, and they're not a turnover every single time. So yeah, they're being used really effectively by a couple of different teams.
So some of them, I mean, I love the ones that go actually across an attacking circle. So somebody's gone down the left and they've used it to change play to the right.
Yeah, saw a lot of that in the Dutch game,
yeah,
which was good, probably just to move Ireland. It was really impressive. Yeah.
Really, actually, as an aside, a really interesting point. I was in a conversation with Alison Annan, and we were talking about players and their skills. And she was saying she doesn't need a squad full of players who can all throw an aerial, or a squad full of players who can all do 3D skills. She also needs people who can do the basics very well as well. So that's okay, Lauren, that you can't throw them brilliantly yet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. That's okay. I like to reinforce and motivate. We then saw Great Britain, the reigning Olympic champions, face South Africa. And just like South African men the day before, the South Africans, they got off to a great start. Jackie, what were your thoughts on that game?
I was so happy with the short corner that South Africa scored in the first few minutes of the game. They were pressing high. They were playing. They were basically on GB, which woke up GB today, and let the girls, push themselves a bit challenged. Good defense at the back for SA, but of course, like Lauren said, how much pressure can you soak in? But they tried really hard. Kudos to GB today, but great work for the SA ladies today as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're only on day 3 of the competition, but one of the things that's really impressed me is how close all the games are. And yes, okay, so that was a 4-1 scoreline, but it wasn't really a 4-1 game in many respects, was it? It was a lot closer than that. The GB revival, I mean, you spoke about the fact it sort of woke GB up. It was almost as though they needed some of their key players just to put their foot on the gear a little bit more. And I think we saw people like Lily Owsley, Shona McCallan, Laura Unsworth in particular, really sort of almost shift through the gears. Sometimes that happens, doesn't it, Lauren? You just need a few players to lead the way and show momentum. It's not necessarily always the captain. Sometimes it comes from other quarters of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every player on a team can add value and a spark. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be the captain or the goalkeeper or whoever trying to organize. It could be somebody off the bench that brings in fresh legs and a spark. So yeah, I thought Owsley did a very good job of that, making things happen. And maybe she got a little annoyed, wanting to do the team a bit better or herself a bit better, whichever it was. But it was effective. So yeah, that was good to see some of those players stepping up and when they needed to.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the match between Spain and Argentina. I know you watched this one closely, Lauren. It sort of for a little while seemed to be heading to a 0-0. There was an awful lot of attacks, but there really weren't very many goals. What were your impressions of that game?
I think it was fast paced, you know, it was almost a little hectic to watch. Both sides are, you know, they're exceptionally quick, really good hands, but also solid defense. So I think it was, yeah, a bit of a tennis match back and forth. But yeah, it was good to see Argentina just get in there and break that scoreline 0-0. I think that they were probably getting progressively more frustrated. A lot of those attackers are used to just being, you know, ruthless in the circle and goals just falling left and right. So I think Spain, they looked really dangerous at times too. So I think they're a similar side, both very passionate, you know, and it was definitely an entertaining game to watch though. Didn't end or seem like a 3-0 goal differential, but you know,
Yeah.
that's the way it
I
fell.
mean, there was a great battle going on actually between Gigi Oliver from Spain and Delfina Marino at one point, and you know, you got two very, very passionate. We'll call them passionate players there. But it was. I think that sort of summed the game up. You know, it was a real sort of a real feisty battle. In a earlier show, Mo First, one of our guests, he referred to the fragile nature of forwards, and I think this match actually highlighted that, because I do get the feeling that if Argentina hadn't scored today, that probably would have been the end of their Olympics. But you know, is this the moment that Argentina have arrived at the Olympics actually after their loss to New Zealand yesterday?
Yeah, I think when you are a forward, you know, you do measure success a lot of the times by your ability to get the ball in the back of the net. So I think when you have so many different attacking options in Granado and Marino and Hagunas and you know all of those girls up there, yeah, I think that there's probably you as it continues to be 0-0 or you know after a 3-0 loss
Mm.
to a team that maybe they thought they would be able to beat, yeah, you would start. So I think um, it was important for them to get on the score sheet, and hopefully that sends them, you know, back in the right direction. You know, clear, level head into the next match.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost as though with that first goal, tension had been released because the next goal was beautiful. You know, it was a real sort of little interchange with
Yeah,
Renato involved, and
yeah,
I think it was Agostino Albertario
it
who's
was.
yeah, and
Yeah, it was a
that was
beautiful touch.
yeah, and then of course Noel Barrio Nevo, who is, as we said the other day, one of the oldest people in the tournament, got herself on the score sheet. So that
Yeah.
was good as well. We need to talk briefly about goalkeepers because there have been some great performances. We've already mentioned Aisha McFarren, Spain's Maria Ruiz in that goal today as well. You know, in Spain's goal again, she was on the end of a losing performance, but she saved 11 of 14 shots. I mean, that's quite incredible goalkeeping, isn't it? Lauren, I'm coming to you first.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. You couldn't pay me to do that job, honestly. So kudos to them always. I always respect goalkeepers. And yeah, I think she was not only able to see the ball really well, but again, like Aisha, was able to really, really involved in defensive organization and making sure that everyone was in their right position and doing their job. So yeah,
Yeah.
impressive.
And Jackie, I mean, a goalkeeper within a team. Again, people playing club hockey probably see their goalkeeper as the shot stopper, the person who in the warm up you fire lots of unstoppable shots at, and you don't. But actually, they're such an integral part of the entire team's performance. And quite often, a good goalkeeping save is the catapult, if you like, for a goal at the other end or an attacking move at the other end. As a coach, you know, the goalkeeper is so essential to you, isn't it?
Definitely. We always say that the goalkeeper can keep you in the game. They can keep you fighting. They can keep you, trying to push on. So especially when they make those really difficult saves, you're like, man, let's go, guys, we can do this. And just to say, the goalkeepers this time around, you can see they're well trained. They're polished. You hardly see high balls to the sides. Very clinical. Good decision making. Of course, they can't save everything, but definitely they've shown us that they're up to par with the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Grace O'Hanlon in the New Zealand goal was fairly instrumental. New Zealand went on to take a 2-1 win over Japan, and Grace certainly pulled off some great saves within that game, because it was a match where you just felt that anything could happen. We also, at the end of that game, saw some really excellent game management from Liz Thompson on the New Zealand side. They were 2-1 up. Japan were actually pushing and pushing and pushing, and it would only have taken a penalty corner for them to get back on terms with the New Zealand side. So that game management, I mean, that's something that, yes, it can be taught, but it's also that's quite innate in some people, isn't it, as well? So, Lauren, I mean, within your squad, you've got some great people who can manage the game very well. What sort of qualities are you looking for in those players?
Yeah, you're definitely looking for a good ball carrier, a good ball protector, somebody that also, though, at the same time is smart but has vision. So is looking for the feet, is looking for the foul, and then is smart enough then to slow down the tempo or up the tempo when necessary, and go into the correct spaces. So I think that that's something. We do have a couple of young players that can absolutely do that. Some great hands, but I also think experience is something that you want to look for in that too. And I think she's probably done that numerous times and was very comfortable in that position. So that's something that experience can really help you with.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand are looking very, very good, and they've left Japan with quite a tough task ahead of them, because they now face Argentina, Australia, and Spain in their final 3 pool matches. I don't know what you two guys think, but finding 2 wins in that lineup is going to be quite a tall order. What are your thoughts on that, Jackie?
Yeah, it's a long climb, but never say never. You never give up. You keep trying, keep pushing. You never know. You might get lucky. So it's not easy, but they'll have to get together and see what they can get out of the last 3 matches.
Yeah, absolutely. The drama continued into the final game. We saw Germany's goalkeeper. Again, we're talking goalkeepers a lot today. Julia Sontag, she was a hero. She saved a penalty stroke from India's Gurjeet to ensure that Germany recorded their second victory. To me, that signified a turning point in that game, because I think although Germany had taken a lead, there was always the chance that India were going to get a goal back. Now, Lauren, we've talked about this before. India are very good at coming back, aren't they?
They sure are. They sure are.
Yeah, but this game, Germany, again, if we're talking game management, that's actually what they moved into that mode, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, India was impressive throughout that game. I thought there was multiple times where on the counterattack they looked really fast, they looked dangerous. But Germany is just so strong in that defense and so organized and so methodical in the way that they move the ball. That European style that they have. It's just so structured. So yeah, I was surprised that India didn't break through, but I think that stroke save was incredible and kind of re-energized that German squad.
Yeah, I mean, on first thoughts, I thought it actually hit the post, but it was actually Julia Sontag who'd got across and made the save.
Yeah,
so that was quite
incredible.
So again, India's route to the quarterfinals, it's going to be tough, but it's probably not as tough as Japan's. They're facing South Africa, Great Britain, and Ireland, and I do feel with India on their day they could probably beat any of those teams. And again, Lauren, what are your thoughts on those matches?
Yeah, I agree. I think when India is on, they are on. They're clicking, they're fast, they're dangerous, they're defending really, really well. Their outlets are able to break lines. So yeah, I mean, I've experienced that firsthand where they can just hang goal after goal after goal. So yeah, I definitely don't count them out. They're a dangerous side. But yeah, a battle ahead, but not an impossible one for them.
Great. Now, if we just have a quick look at tomorrow's fixtures, I'll just rattle through the matches that are taking place, and you can tell me or tell the viewers what you think are going to be the games to watch tomorrow. So they're all men's games. We've got Argentina versus Australia. I'm thinking that's going to be quite a goodie. We've got Japan versus New Zealand. India are taking on Spain. Germany will face Great Britain. Belgium against South Africa. And the Netherlands will take on Canada. Jackie, come to you first. I'm guessing you're going to be tuning into South Africa versus Belgium, and hoping
Definitely, definitely.
Well, what else do you fancy in that little lineup?
Great Britain.
Great Britain, Germany.
Playing, yes, that game is going to be amazing. I think I can't really tell who's going to win. Both of them are in great shape. They're scoring. Yeah. If I don't know if it's going to be a draw, let's wait and see.
We haven't actually had a draw yet, have we? Lauren, what about yourself, Lauren? What match are you looking forward to there?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that first one. I think that's going to be a high scoring game, really fast. But I agree that GB and Germany game is going to be pretty level field play. So I think those are the two to watch.
Yeah, it's there's no love lost between the two teams, so it's going to be quite an interesting one. I think India Spain is actually going to be quite a feisty one as well, which will be great. I've got two more questions for you. The first one, really, who's catching your eye? Now, I asked Lauren this the other day, and you asked for a rain check. So you've had 72 hours to think about it, Lauren. Now, who's catching your eye?
Yes. So Australia, the women on the women's side, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I think not only are they looking just, really connected, but they look like they're just having a lot of fun being there together, and they're putting out some incredible performances. So, yeah, I think if they stay on this trend, we could definitely see them in that final game. So they're the ones to watch for me.
Brilliant, Jackie.
You know what? I'm waiting for Argentina women to show themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
They had a slow start to the tournament. They're back. I'm rooting for them. Of course, rooting for SA women, but yeah, Argentina women maybe. Let's see if they'll be there for the next match.
I'm taking a slightly cerebral approach to this. I'm rooting for the Japanese women because I love their playing kit and I want to see it in the tournament as soon as possible.
It is lovely.
Now, I've got one question. This is actually from a viewer. So it's our first viewer's question, and I think it's a goodie. When the teams line up to sing their national anthems, you get the impression that some teams are belting out songs and they take that momentum onto the pitch with them. So here's a question for you. Your favourite national anthem for that very reason? Let's come to Lauren first.
I quite like Argentina's. I think it's got a fun tempo. I think that, again, you see that passion just come through at the end there, especially when they've got a stadium full of people. I always think that national anthem really gears them up and gets them ready to go and connects them. So that's one of my favorites, and I'm sure it's a good unifying moment for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Jackie?
I support Lauren on that as well. It's Argentina they're so passionate. But I also go with my people, South Africans. I love the unity in the team right now, and yeah, so I'm for South Africa right now.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful anthem. And I'll throw New Zealand's anthem in there as well because I think that's got a beautiful one as well. But guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insight. It's been a lovely chat with you both. So thank you very, very much. I'll be seeing both of you again. But bye, Lauren, and bye, Jackie, for now.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.